Yeah, as Lou said, I'm Kate, and I've got Carla and Zoe here presenting with me, all from Runshaw College. And we also have some contributions from Michael at Blackpool, who's not with us today, but did carry out some of this intervention with his students as well. And we're going to be talking to you about using strategies based on the VESPA mindset and GROW models to support student learning as part of a wider mastery curriculum. So this is very much a continuation of the action research that we did last year. So the things that we wanted to carry on into this academic year, we're continuing to incorporate VESPA activities within our GCSE maths schema work, because we saw some really positive impact of those last year. We wanted to expand our one-to-one coaching program so that a greater number of students could participate, because last year we found with lockdowns and online learning that we really struggled to recruit students to actually take part and be coached last year. And we wanted to extend this so that Blackpool, our network partner college, could also participate in the research and carry out the intervention. And we hoped that we'd also be able to investigate some other influences as well on student mindset and attitude outside of this. So that was where we wanted to go with this. So what is the VESPA model, you might be wondering? It's based on Oakes and Griffin's work. They spent 8 years developing this model of developing students' non-cognitive skills. And they suggested, after research on their own students, that successful students score highly in 5 characteristics. And they define those as vision, so knowing what they want to achieve; effort, working hard and putting in many hours of proactive independent study; systems is all about organising themselves, their resources and their time effectively; practice, using deliberate practice in order to develop their skills; and attitude, which is all about a growth mindset and responding positively to setbacks. So we use their online portal, and this provides a questionnaire that students respond to how much they agree or disagree with certain statements related to the characteristics. And then it gives them a score out of 10 for each of the VESPA characteristics, where 10 is the highest score they can get, the strongest characteristic. And we used their books as well, which you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, the GCSE and A-level mindsets, which provides activities that specifically target these characteristics. So if a student had a weakness in a certain area, then we could really hone in on that and help them to improve. So a little bit of interactivity for you. I'm going to pop a Menti link in the chat, which hopefully you'll just be able to click on and respond to. How do you think your students or general GCSE research students would rank in these VESPA characteristics? So on that Menti page, you've got the opportunity to order them from what you think would be the strongest of those 5 characteristics down to the lowest scoring. So I'll just give you 30 seconds or so to access that. Let me know if there's any problems. Oh, yeah, something's happening. So some people have managed to get in. That's good. So I'm going to let you keep going with that in the background if you're in the middle of doing that. I will reveal the results, but in a couple of minutes, I'm going to hand you over to Zoe, first of all, to talk about coaching.
Hello. I didn't check my mic worked. That would have been sensible, wouldn't it? Yes, yeah, good. So when we were planning the one-to-one aspect of our project, we researched ideas on how to be a good coach to our students. And we gained a lot from Adam Abdullah's book on coaching students in secondary schools. And we were able to apply quite a lot of their suggestions into our practice. So, for example, we placed quite a big emphasis on unlocking the students' potential through their own ideas and suggestions, and really encouraging them to think about their own goals and setting targets each week. So we facilitated this with the VESPA activities when we felt relevant, and just helped provide them with resources from which they could be a bit more self-sufficient. So as teachers ourselves, we found the role of a coach and teacher to be a bit different in places. And this took a bit of getting used to. We've had to change our mindset slightly to become more of a facilitator and a mentor than we ever really have time for in the classroom. We also made a collective decision that the students' coach wouldn't be their maths teacher, just to try and give a bit of separation between maths and encouraging them to think about all areas of their study, not just their maths resit. So as I've already heard today, we've used the GROW model, which I know a few of you are familiar with, to structure our coaching sessions, which involved our students setting their own goal every session after deciding on an ultimate goal. They considered the reality of that situation, what options they had available, and then decided on a way forward. So this helped us maintain consistency between all three of us as coaches as well, and just gave the students full control over that goal setting process. So what we planned to do was deliver two things: a one-to-one coaching program and some VESPA activities to our whole cohort within the scheme of work. So for the one-to-one coaching, students were going to be given the chance to opt into the coaching sessions, and they were going to consist of a combination of the VESPA activities and the GROW model. Within our maths GCSE classrooms, we were going to have 8 activities that were planned to be delivered in there, and they were just going to be spread throughout the academic year, both at Runshaw and at Blackpool. So what actually happened? So in reality, there was a really low number of students who volunteered for the one-to-one coaching, which meant we had to get a bit more creative with how we recruited students. So we invited students who were referred by their maths teacher or had low scores on their VESPA questionnaire to begin with. But we were really mindful to make sure students were invited by the person who was going to coach them. We felt like that would maybe make them a bit more comfortable and feel happy to attend the sessions. We also decided to provide a more flexible delivery of the VESPA activities. So we decided to upload them also onto Desmos. Our students are really familiar with that platform because we use it a lot in class. So teachers had the choice to either give them the paper copies or to use Desmos. The final thing we slightly changed was the timing of some of the activities. We realised that to coincide with our key assessment times, we moved certain things like the revision questionnaire. We put that before the mocks rather than after it.
So what we found, all the students were asked to complete the VESPA questionnaire, and this gave us their VESPA scores. The results showed that the students perceived that their skills were most developed for systems, followed by effort, then attitude, and that they needed most support with the aspects vision and practice. Let's go back to Kate now to see what the results were from the Mentimeter you've done.
So, very interestingly, and actually agreeing with what we thought as a research team at the start, you guys have put vision at the top, and we really expected that vision would come out on top. You know, they're a new college, they've enrolled onto a vocational course in the area that they're interested in. But like Carla just said, the vision and the practice were actually, when the students ranked their characteristics, the ones that ranked the lowest. And I think that's quite an important thing, really, to think about maybe when meeting our new students next year. Their perceptions of themselves or their needs are not necessarily what we expect. And we did do quite a lot of work on the practice and revision skills side of things with our students because of that. So that was quite interesting. Oh, it won't go. There we go. Thank you.
So, on the left-hand side of the table are the results for the 94 students that took part in classroom activities only. And on the right side of the table are results for 10 students that took part in both the classroom activities and the one-to-one coaching. We asked students to complete the VESPA questionnaire for the first time in September and for the second time in May after partaking in the interventions so that we could measure the overall impact. A total of 104 students completed both questionnaires out of approximately 300 students in total. The increase in scores for the coachees suggests that those students that took part in a combination of one-to-one coaching and classroom activities saw a positive impact on their mindset, regardless of the length of the coaching period. This contrasted with the students that only took part in classroom activities. Here we can see that the VESPA scores decreased across every aspect. Although this suggests a negative impact, last year a control group that did not take part in the intervention saw their scores reduce more significantly than could be seen here. A few things to consider about the reliability of the data. It is not possible to say how many classroom activities were completed by each of the 104 students. Some students completed the questionnaire quickly without spending the necessary time to give sufficient thought before answering. And the second questionnaire was completed once the exam period had begun. In addition to the VESPA questionnaire, all GCSE research students were invited to complete a survey and we received 30 responses. In contrast to the VESPA questionnaire results, these responses suggested that 93% of students felt that their mindset in maths had improved at least a little, with 80% of students also experiencing an improvement outside of the classroom. And these results and patterns were also mirrored in the results at Blackpool. To gather further evidence, we also held a number of focus groups. We held 3 focus groups with the students that participated in coaching, including one focus group that consisted of those that did not fully engage in the process. We held another focus group with the maths teachers that delivered the VESPA activities in the classroom. And we held a focus group with the coaches that delivered the one-to-one coaching sessions. From the evidence we gathered, we were able to identify themes that were common. These themes were confidence and self-belief, motivation and engagement, and we were also able to start to build a toolkit that identified useful strategies. Here are some quotes from the students that evidence these themes. So I think you'll agree that with these quotes that the themes came across quite convincingly.
So our practical toolkit then it's a combination of the specific things that our students said that they'd found most useful during the coaching sessions and that they would continue to use in the future. So we've got 4 components here. The first being organisation. So the students said they feel better organised now, and they could attribute this to specific activities that we did, such as Mission and Medal from the VESPA portal, which encourages students to timetable their study time into their week and also to reward themselves when they stick to it. This was something that many students said that they definitely continue to do going forward, and it had helped them to stop things like procrastinating and encourage them to make better use of their study periods in college. And in the words of one student, just to have a better college life balance than before. Revision was another thing that they talked about quite a lot. Students felt more confident now that they could revise effectively. And again, they could pick out particular activities that had supported them with this, such as the practice questionnaire, which encourages them to audit their current revision practices and identify new and perhaps more impactful techniques to try. And also the bottom left, which helps them to identify topics from their revision list that are likely to have the biggest impact on improving their overall grade. Goal setting was a process that was very new to most of our students, and some said it took them a while to get used to, but they then said that it was something they would definitely continue to do in future. Many were able to identify that although they hadn't achieved their ultimate goal yet, they'd achieved many smaller things along the way, and they could recognise that progress. It was really refreshing to hear them talk about that when you so often hear a student, a GCSE research student particularly, having that sort of all or nothing attitude of have I passed or have I just failed again? And yeah, it was just really nice to hear. The final thing was positive thinking. We had a number of students, interestingly, they were all female, that were referred to us with low attitude scores from the VESPA questionnaire. And they wanted support with things like negative thinking, exam anxiety, and just overall confidence. They identified the inner critic and the stopping negative thoughts activities as ones that have particularly helped with them with this. And those activities encourage them either to learn to just banish the negative thinking completely or to reframe it more positively. And these students did see big improvements in their attitude scores on their post questionnaire as well.
So naturally, we encountered some barriers when we were doing our research. I thought we'd just chat about those a little bit. Firstly, the recruitment to the one-to-one coaching sessions was so much lower than we expected. So initially, we actually only had 2 students who signed up. And during our focus groups at the end of the study, other students just couldn't believe that others weren't more interested, which was fascinating. Even those students that committed to the coaching on a regular basis sometimes still needed reminding to come as well, which I wonder whether it could suggest there might be more barriers than just getting them through the door. So student engagement in the coaching sessions also varied quite a bit, as even students that took that first step to attend didn't always come for more than 1 or 2 sessions. They might just drop off the radar. The in-class engagement also was a bit low at times, and this could be attributed to lots of things, but possibly the variation in delivery and enthusiasm between the different class teachers. And when we surveyed at the end of the year, students didn't always remember actually completing the in-class activities, which maybe suggests they weren't either invested in the activities, or maybe they found it difficult to engage with them for some reason. And the final thing really for us was fitting it in. Most of our BTEC students are on a 3-day timetable, so fitting the coaching sessions into the student schedules was actually really challenging. So for the one-to-one coaching, students were sometimes reluctant to attend if they had really low number of free periods, or if they just had a really busy time with coursework. And staff as well sometimes expressed concerns about not having time in class for the activities and struggled sometimes to see the benefits when it wasn't fully maths related.
So here are some recommendations for anyone considering adopting a similar approach. Ensure that teachers, students and coaches have all received effective training and information so that they understand the purpose of the mindset intervention. Improve communication between the coach and the maths teacher so that the maths teacher can also support student goals. As part of the research that we conducted, Kate liaised with other FE institutions that already had established coaching programs. It was recommended that a whole college approach was needed, including SLT and parent buy-in, and this could lead to improved student engagement with the proposed intervention. Add coaching sessions to students' timetables. And finally, consider offering occasional group coaching sessions for students who are developing similar aspects of their mindset, as students feel that this would have enhanced their coaching journey.
So finally then, going forward, although we won't be carrying out specific research in this area next academic year, there will be a lasting legacy from this project in our college. We're going to continue next year to incorporate VESPA activities into the GCSE maths scheme of work. The fact that student scores are relatively low for all of the aspects and even decrease just suggests how much support they do need with these characteristics in addition to their maths support. We're really excited to be able to offer the coaching programme next year to all GCSE research students, including English, through our Maths and English Hub. And we're going to train up our Hub instructor to offer the sessions like we've done this year. We are going to offer group sessions in addition to one-to-one support through there as well, as that was requested by the students. And we just need to have a greater promotion of this across the college from the maths team, the English team, and to get the pastoral team involved as well to really try and get students to engage with this. Improved communication with everyone will come from that, including parents, students, maths teachers, and anyone else who's got a vested interest in the programme. Thank you very much. Can we take any questions?